Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today. Welcome back. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm so pleased you're here with me. Okay, so today I'm going to do a liquid puddle pour and I'm just going to run through some of my colours now. So I do have a black, I have a Prussian blue, I have a couple of greens, I have a raw sienna and I have a copper. And I'm going to puddle these paints on my canvas. I'm then going to use a marble and create some lines by putting the marble on the canvas and tilting it. And I'm also going to do a very basic swipe just to get some lacing elements as part of this overall design. The consistency of the paint is 1 part paint to 3 parts pouring medium. Today I'm using Floetrol. And the paint itself leaves a mound upon a mound before disappearing in your cup. I've got my marble, so let's see what we can create. Just so you're aware, I have sped up this video. I don't normally puddle my paints quite so quickly. But what I'm doing is I'm taking one colour at a time and I'm just randomly pouring puddles of liquid paint across the canvas. I take one colour at a time just so I can see how the proportion of the colour is being distributed across the canvas. I really enjoy doing this and this is my me time, that's how I describe it. This is my escapism. And when I paint, I'm just very much in the moment, feeling the paint as it leaves the cup and hits that canvas, and looking at the design and the creation as it forms. This is going to be quite a dark colour palette, so I'm using the black to distinguish the areas of colour. I'm using it to split up some of those colours, but I'm also using it because I wanted to have a darker colour palette overall, but that copper will pop through and the blue will dry even darker. So bear that in mind when you choose your colours. I'm now taking the marble and I'm just slowly tilting the marble across the canvas. What it's doing is it's mixing in some of those puddles and creating some of those lines using some of the black paint and some of the other colours. I'll take you in for a close-up shortly just so you can see the kind of pattern that it makes. But really enjoy this moment and don't rush this part. Just tilt the marble from one end to the other, going through the puddles of paint to create the lines. So now for the swiping, and I'm going to swipe in 3 different areas across this design. I'm using Australian Floetrol mixed with titanium white by Amsterdam, 1 part paint to 3 parts Floetrol, and this is what's going to create your lacing. I don't want too much of that because I want to illustrate and show all the various elements from the lacing to the lines to the puddles. When you place down your palette knife, just allow the palette knife to rest on top of the paint, and as you swipe, just allow it to glide across the surface of that canvas. So this is the part where you really look at the design on the surface and stretch out that design to create something that you're happy with. This is about looking at the overall composition. As I said, I really wanted to combine the lacing, the lines and the block of colour within this design. I've done various ones, and in fact you can see a couple behind me on my wall. But this time, I'm not so worried about keeping so much of the lacing. I just wanted a small element of that. And working with a darker colour palette really changes the mood and how I connect with this piece. I'm really loving these colours as a colour palette overall, and I'm definitely going to work with these again. So when you're working with your own colour palette, think sometimes about the colours that you're choosing in terms of how light and dark they dry. So the blue that you see, and Prussian blue is renowned for this, it's quite light when you're working with it as wet paint, but when it dries, it will dry very dark, almost black. But you can always add a little bit of white to that, just to lighten that if you wish. So I'm going to continue tilting my canvas and moving the paint on the canvas. But when I tilt, you'll see that I also move the paint back on itself. That's to allow me to use the amount of paint on the canvas to stretch from one end to the other and from side to side. And then I will look at the overall design and I will decide how much more to tip off or what direction to move the paint in. And once I'm happy with the design, I will remove all the drips on the edges. All that paint that's dripping down the side, I will take off with a palette knife, just so the design isn't pulled completely over the sides and down. By removing those drips, you minimise the movement of the paint on top. I'll take you in for a close look now of the wet version, and guys, stick around because I'd love for you to see the dry version and see how much darker that blue has dried, but overall how well this colour palette works together. I can't wait for you to see the dried result. So here we are, the dried version. I love it. I love this dark colour palette. I love the two greens that I chose. All the colours will be listed in the description below. You'll see that the blue does shine through, but has dried a lot darker. I knew that was going to happen anyway, but I also love all those different elements. The lacing created by the swipe, the blocks of colour created by the puddles, and the lines that have been created using the marble right at the beginning before doing any other element. I really love this, and I suspect I'm going to do a few more. Let me know what colours you think I should use, and let me know what you think about this overall design. Thank you so much for all of your support. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I really hope you have a great week. Remember, be kind to yourself, enjoy the moment when you're creating, and let me know how you get on. Thanks everyone, take care, and I hope to see you again in the next video. See you soon. Bye.